Okay, so have you ever felt like, work is just kind of sucking the life out of you? Like you're just going through the motions every single day. You wake up, drag yourself through the day, and come home feeling completely drained. And then you start to wonder, is this IT? Is this all there is to life?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are feeling that way.
Especially, I think it's tough for like new grads entering this crazy job market. And then there are the people who chase that so-called dream job,
Hmm.
only to realize it was actually a total nightmare.
Right.
And let's not forget those who are trying to make it in the gig economy. It's just constant instability. So in this deep dive, we're going to really try to understand why work feels so messed up for so many of us.
Yeah, it's like the system is broken or something.
Totally. But more importantly, we're going to talk about what we can actually do about it, because complaining is easy, right?
It is.
Action is where the magic happens. So what do you think is at the root of this like mismatch between what work demands from us and what actually makes us feel fulfilled?
Well, I think it boils down to this. The way we work now is completely stuck in the past. We're clinging to these, outdated industrial age values that put productivity above everything else.
Yeah, it's like our well-being and our basic human need to feel like our work has meaning,
Mhm.
that stuff goes right out the window.
Exactly.
It's like we're trying to cram a square peg into a round hole, and then we're all surprised when it doesn't fit.
It's true.
It's just be productive, get it done.
Yeah.
No one seems to care about whether the work even aligns with like who we are as people or what we actually want out of life.
Yeah.
And this crazy obsession with output over, well, everything else
Mhm.
is why so many jobs feel absolutely meaningless. It's just a transaction. You show up, do the task, get paid, repeat. There's zero space for growth, creativity, or even just feeling good about what you're doing.
Right. And then that's when all the mental health stuff starts creeping in.
Right.
It's no coincidence that anxiety, depression, and just plain exhaustion are at an all-time high. We're literally burning ourselves out trying to meet these unrealistic expectations in a system that honestly couldn't care less about us as human beings.
I've actually been there myself. A few years back, I landed what I thought was my dream job. Good salary, benefits, the whole 9 yards. But it turned out to be a complete nightmare. The pointless meetings, insane deadlines, this pressure to act like I was thriving when in reality I was dying inside. It was awful.
I hear that. It's like we're all supposed to fit into this perfect little mold, even if it's slowly killing us.
Exactly. And don't even get me started on this expectation to be always on. Like,
Yeah.
I would get emails from my boss at 11 p.m. expecting an immediate response. It was ridiculous.
Right.
It felt like work was swallowing my entire life. All my passions, the things that actually mattered to me,
Yeah.
just started withering away.
Yeah, that toxic work culture just kind of seeps into every part of your life and it just sucks everything out of you.
It was definitely a wake-up call for me. I knew something had to change.
Hmm.
And I had a feeling that, I wasn't the only one feeling this way.
Oh, absolutely not. You're definitely not alone. But the good news is, we don't have to just sit here and whine about how much work sucks.
We can actually do something about it.
Exactly.
And that's what this deep dive is all about. It's about empowering you to create a totally different kind of work life,
Yeah.
one that actually lines up with your values and, makes you feel fulfilled.
Yeah, and I think it starts with rethinking what work even means. We've been kind of brainwashed to believe that it has to be our entire identity. Like it's this all-consuming force that dictates our worth as humans.
I totally agree. It doesn't have to be like that. Work should be a tool that helps us create the life we want, not the other way around.
I love that.
So where do we begin? Like, what are some actual concrete steps that we can take to make work, less soul-crushing and more fulfilling?
Well, I think one really powerful shift is to prioritize community over individual achievement. Like our entire society is obsessed with this idea of climbing the ladder, even if it means stepping on other people to get there.
It's so true. It's like everyone's playing this cutthroat game where you have to be the best no matter what.
Right. What if, instead of all that, we focused on creating workplaces and projects that are all about collaboration and shared purpose?
I like that.
Places where people actually support each other, where they work together to reach a common goal and celebrate their wins together.
That sounds so much healthier
Yeah.
and honestly way more fun. And it makes me think about the whole creativity and self-expression piece too.
Mm.
It feels like so many jobs stifle those parts of who we are. Like we're told to just fit in, follow the rules, and basically bury our unique talents and perspectives.
Which ends up stifling innovation and personal growth on a massive scale.
Exactly. What we need is a culture that embraces side hustles, passion projects, even those big career pivots that let us tap into what really lights us up. Instead of forcing people into these tiny little boxes, we should be encouraging them to bring their whole selves to work.
I totally agree. It's about reclaiming ownership of our work and ultimately our lives. And that brings us to another super important step, setting healthy boundaries.
Oh, yeah. That hustle culture mentality that praises overworking yourself to the point of burnout.
Yeah.
We need to reject that. It's not sustainable, and it definitely doesn't lead to happiness. When I was stuck in that soul-crushing job,
You were constantly plugged in, right?
oh, constantly, glued to my phone, answering emails all hours of the day and night, working weekends, it was like I couldn't even breathe without checking in with work. It was exhausting.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
Rest, reflection, and having a life outside of work, those aren't luxuries. Those are necessities.
They're essential for our well-being and for actually doing our best work. It's all about creating that balance, that work-life balance that actually works. I actually started taking pottery classes during that time.
Pottery. That's
It
amazing.
was. It was messy and imperfect, and I had absolutely no clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
But, that's exactly what I needed. Something completely separate from work that let me just, express myself and have fun.
Yeah, having those outlets is so important. Things that bring you joy and help you recharge.
100%. And along with that, I think we need to be, actively investing in ourselves, learning new skills, exploring different fields, pushing our boundaries. It's about taking control of our careers instead of feeling stuck.
Yeah, that's when the magic happens. When we invest in ourselves, whether it's personal or professional growth, we create a world of possibilities. We discover new passions, learn valuable skills, and create career options that actually make us happy.
It's like we're constantly evolving and becoming the best versions of ourselves.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be this big, overwhelming thing. It could be as simple as taking a quick online course, reading a book, or attending a cool workshop. The key is to just make it a regular part of your life.
Hmm.
It's really great that we're having this conversation. We've been talking about some, pretty heavy stuff, like how the traditional way of working is just burning people out and making them feel so trapped. But there are, like, these little glimmers of hope emerging.
There are, and I think it's so fascinating that, while this old broken system is kind of falling apart, we're also seeing all these new possibilities popping up. Things like the gig economy, remote work, and this, growing focus on mental well-being. It feels like a shift is happening.
It's like we're watching a revolution in how we think about work.
Totally.
These trends are really shaking things up and forcing us to really rethink what work could be and should be. Like for decades, we've been stuck in this rigid 9 to 5 office-bound mentality, but now it's like technology and these changing attitudes are kind of cracking open the doors to so many new ways of working and living.
It's so empowering. Think about the rise of self-employment. More and more people are saying, forget the corporate ladder, and they're creating their own paths.
Exactly.
They're becoming entrepreneurs, freelancers, artists, creators, anything they want.
They're taking control of their lives, setting their own hours, choosing projects that they actually care about, and building businesses that reflect their values.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's not just about individual freedom either. It's about creating a more inclusive and accessible work environment for everyone.
So true. Remote work, especially, is such a game changer. We're not chained to a physical office anymore. We can work from anywhere with an internet connection, whether it's like our home office, a coffee shop, or, let's be real, a beach in Bali. Wouldn't that be nice?
It would.
And that kind of flexibility is so important for people who, want more work-life balance or have been excluded from those traditional work settings in the past.
Absolutely.
It levels the playing field. People with disabilities, caregivers, people in rural communities, everyone can participate in a way that works for them. I love that.
And let's not forget about the growing emphasis on mental health. For too long, we've been told to just, suck it up and push through, even when we're feeling totally stressed, overwhelmed, and burnt out. But thankfully, that's finally starting to change.
It really is. We're finally acknowledging that our mental well-being is just as important as our physical health, and that these toxic work cultures are actually having a serious impact on our mental health. More and more companies are starting to get it. They're prioritizing employee well-being. You see things like mental health resources being offered, flexible work arrangements, and just a more supportive and understanding work environment overall.
It's about time.
Right.
It really is.
Happy and healthy employees are more productive and engaged. It's a win-win for everyone.
Exactly. And this focus on well-being is extending beyond the corporate world, too. We're seeing a huge surge in interest in things like mindfulness, self-care, and a more holistic approach to work-life balance. It's becoming mainstream. It's about treating ourselves with kindness and, recognizing that we're not machines. We're human beings with needs and limits.
Exactly. We need rest, we need time to recharge, and we need to nurture our mental and emotional well-being.
Okay, so we have all these really exciting trends happening.
Hmm.
Self-employment, remote work, and a focus on mental health.
Mm.
But how do we actually use them to create this more fulfilling future of work? What does that actually look like, in practice?
Well, I think it starts with a shift in our mindset. We have to be willing to experiment, to be adaptable, and to let go of those old paradigms that are no longer serving us, like the traditional career path.
Yeah.
That's becoming more and more irrelevant these days.
It's so true. It's like that old image of the career ladder is starting to look more like a jungle gym.
I like that.
We need to be open to exploring different paths and options, whether it's freelancing, starting a side hustle, or even making a huge pivot to a completely different field.
Exactly. Think of your career as this ongoing journey, not a destination. It's going to have twists and turns and detours, and also these amazing unexpected opportunities.
It's about embracing that uncertainty. Stay curious and be open to learning new things along the way.
I love that. Another super important aspect of this future of work is collaboration and community. We talked earlier about, prioritizing community over individual achievement, and that's even more crucial in this new landscape of work.
But how do we find our tribe, especially when so many of us are working remotely or running our own businesses? It can be tough to not feel isolated.
Yeah, technology is a double-edged sword, right? It can definitely contribute to feelings of isolation, but it can also allow us to connect with people from all over the world.
That's true.
We can create these amazing virtual communities of like-minded people. We can collaborate on projects, share ideas, and support each other's growth.
So we need to be proactive about, finding those communities and building those connections. We can join groups online, attend virtual events, participate in co-working spaces. We can even just, reach out to people we admire on social media.
Absolutely. It's about finding your people even if they're not physically in the same space as you.
So we're talking about a future of work that's flexible, collaborative, purpose-driven, and truly focused on well-being. Sounds pretty amazing.
It does, and I really believe it's achievable. But of course, there are challenges, potential pitfalls that we need to be aware of as we kind of navigate this new world of work. Because, no system is perfect.
So what are some of the things we need to watch out for?
Well, one challenge is the potential for burnout. Even in this more flexible and autonomous work environment, it's easy to fall into the trap of working all the time, especially when your office is also your home or when you're really passionate about your work and, just driven to succeed.
Wait, so I thought remote work and self-employment were supposed to help prevent burnout? How can that be a problem?
They can, but only if we're really intentional about setting those boundaries and prioritizing our well-being. We need to create clear boundaries between work and life, even if those lines are a little blurrier than they were in a traditional office setting.
It's about having the discipline to, switch off, take breaks, and just honor our need for rest and rejuvenation.
Exactly. Treat your well-being with the same level of importance as you would any work deadline.
That's a good point. And another challenge, I think, is that potential for isolation and loneliness.
Hmm.
Even though technology helps us connect, it can also contribute to that feeling of disconnect if we're not careful.
That's why it's so crucial to be proactive about nurturing our social connections, both online and offline.
Right, so make time for those in-person interactions. Join a co-working space, attend industry events, and really prioritize those meaningful relationships with people who share your interest.
Exactly. It's about creating that sense of belonging and community, even if you're working remotely or you're running your own business. And of course, we can't forget about the financial instability that often comes with self-employment and gig work. That's a big one.
It is, especially in a system where benefits like, health insurance and retirement savings are still so tied to traditional employment.
It's true.
How do we create more security for independent workers?
Well, on a societal level, I think we need to be advocating for policies that provide greater support and security for independent workers. And on a personal level, we need to, develop those strong financial literacy skills, learn to manage our income effectively, and really focus on building a safety net for ourselves.
So while there are definitely challenges, I think we both agree that the potential benefits of this new world of work far outweigh the risks.
I definitely agree with that. It's an incredible opportunity to create a work life that's truly aligned with our values, our passions, and our desire for fulfillment.
It's a chance to, break free from that soul-crushing grind and design a career that actually nourishes our souls and allows us to actually thrive.
Yes, a career that gives us energy, not one that drains us.
It's about reclaiming our time, our energy, and ultimately our
I
life.
love that.
Okay, so let's get really practical here. What are some tangible steps our listeners can take, like right now, to start creating this more fulfilling work life? What's the first thing they should do?
All right, welcome back. Over the last couple parts of this deep dive, we've really gotten into like the nitty-gritty of why work feels so off for a lot of people. We talked about how those old school values, put productivity on a pedestal and shove well-being aside, how that's really at the heart of the problem. But we also got into some pretty cool stuff that's coming up, like the gig economy, remote work, and that growing awareness of mental health. All these things are like paving the way for a better way to work, a more fulfilling way. Yeah, it really feels like we're at this crossroads. The old ways of doing things are breaking down, and we have this incredible chance to build something totally new and so much better.
Exactly. But, talking about it is only half the battle. We need to give people the tools and strategies to actually build that better future? So in this last part, let's get down to brass tacks. What are some things our listeners can start doing, like today, to create that more fulfilling work life?
One of the biggest things, and this is especially important for folks working remotely or running their own businesses, is setting those clear boundaries between work life and, well, life. It's easy for things to get blurry.
Oh, I've been there. When your home is also your office, it feels like you're always on.
Right. So you got to create that separation both physically and mentally. Make a designated workspace, even if it's just a corner of your apartment. Set those work hours and really stick to them as much as you can.
So, like, train yourself to switch off when you're off the clock. No checking emails at dinner, no scrolling through work stuff late at night.
Exactly. Protect that personal time. Give yourself that chance to rest and recharge. One thing that's really helped me is putting breaks and downtime in my calendar, like I would any other appointment.
Make it non-negotiable.
Absolutely. Your well-being is just as important as meeting any deadline. Now, along with those boundaries, having a solid support network is super key. We talked about finding your tribe, but how do you actually do that, especially in this digital age?
It can feel a little overwhelming, especially if you're used to like a more traditional office environment where you're just, surrounded by colleagues.
You got to be proactive. Join online communities for your field or, stuff you're interested in. Attend those industry events, even if they're virtual. Connect with people on social media. And don't be afraid to just reach out to mentors or people you admire and ask for advice.
It's all about putting yourself out there and making those connections.
And when you do connect with people, be genuinely interested in what they have to say, you know? Offer support, share your experiences, and build those real, authentic relationships. Remember, it's about this reciprocal thing, this exchange of value and support.
Okay, let's talk about the money stuff, because I know this is a worry for a lot of people, especially those going the self-employment or gig work route. How do you handle that lack of stability and traditional benefits? It can be scary.
It's a valid concern for sure. One of the most important things is getting a grip on financial literacy, Understand where your money's coming from, where it's going, track expenses, make a budget, and build up that emergency fund.
All super important steps. And hey, there's no shame in asking for help if you need it.
Right. Don't hesitate to talk to a financial advisor. They can help you come up with a plan for managing that income, making smart investments, and planning for the future.
It's all about feeling confident in your financial well-being, creating that sense of security even with all the unknowns out there. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about constantly learning and developing new skills. We've mentioned it here and there, but it's worth highlighting. The work world just keeps changing, so we need to adapt. We need to be ready for new challenges.
100%. Never stop learning, never stop exploring new fields and expanding your skill set. And, learning doesn't have to be this formal, expensive thing. There's tons of free stuff out there, podcasts, articles, online courses, tutorials, you name it.
Totally. Make time for personal and professional development, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. Those little bits of effort add up over time.
Now, this next part might feel a bit awkward for some, but it's so important for a fulfilling work life. Advocating for yourself.
Yeah, you got to speak up, ask for what you deserve, set those boundaries, and know your worth. Don't be afraid to be your own champion.
Exactly. And that can be tough if you're used to, like, people pleasing or avoiding conflict. But trust me, it's a skill worth mastering. Learn to communicate your needs clearly and assertively. Don't shy away from negotiating for better pay, more flexibility, or projects that you're actually excited about.
You deserve to be treated with respect, and your work deserves to be valued. Don't settle for anything less.
And remember, you're not alone in all of this. There are tons of people out there looking for that same fulfilling work life. Connect with them, share your struggles, offer support, celebrate each other's wins.
We're in this together, right? We can create a world where work is actually a source of joy and fulfillment, not just this thing we have to grind through.
That's the future we need.
So that wraps up this deep dive into rethinking work for fulfillment. We hope you found it helpful and more than that, empowering. Remember, you deserve it.
Animal Kingdom tried to tell them it's ugly out here. They told you to thug and get rid of the feelings just to find meaning and purpose in something unclear. All of a sudden it's substance abundant. Can't drown in discussions, tugging existential bliss in cashmere. Too slick for appearances, numb off ambiance, cause the system condition is blurring our ears. My daddy ain't been gone for too long, this is surreal. Young kings doing wrong to get on, man, it's real. Follow through too strong, swear my team is up next. Led her through the nude scene, make her sing, found her say. Yeah, fully determined, see it unfurling. All I'm learning, call it gain and no loss. Life a whirlwind of Merlins, like Sterling is bourbon, causing unnerving thoughts. Picture a frame, I'm wide awake. Can't blame me for no fool no more. Destined for cream, won't stop mundane. Let's pick up speed right out the gate. 3, 2, 1. Hell if I care, I'm doing well and I should hang there. Where boundaries ain't, where liberties reign. Well, hell if I care. Follow life's flow. Shades muted in tone. Hey, like August in Rome. Welcome to life, I'm Future. My music ain't gon' change the world. My people know the lyrics. Animal Kingdom.